Good day. Today we're going to try something new. I want to actually build a, cupboard. Bedroom units, let's put it that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually do it from scratch. So what we're going to do is we're going to build some bedroom units. Really to show you what we can actually achieve in Promobi. Now we're not going to get too fancy, but we're going to do something where it's going to be totally custom. So we're going to work on a system where on the walls, I'm going to leave the walls as you can see here. At the moment we've got 2,600 by 2,600 high, 150 thickness, and the lengths we're looking at around about 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at 2.5, so let's make these a little bit bigger. So the way to do that is I'm actually going to delete these, and I'm going to show you how we create some walls inside Promobi. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to go to edit walls, and I'm going to make this big so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So across here I'm actually going to make this 2.5. Let's make this height of the ceiling going to be 2.5. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally build 4 walls. Maybe I should just do 2 walls to show you can do it as open. Okay, let's do it as 2 walls. So what I can do is by clicking on the wall like that, you can see I can just drag it to whatever size that I want. But what I want to do is I'm going to click up here where it says length. I'm going to highlight that. So I can type in a size. So I'm going to make this 6 meters. I'm going to press enter. It's going to lock it in for me. When I go back down here, I'm going to get it nice and straight. At the top right hand side where it says length, you'll see there's still a blue highlight. So now I can just type in another figure. So let's make this also 6 meters. And I'm going to press enter. By pressing enter on the keyboard and not my mouse, it keeps that highlighted. So if I wanted to continue, I can keep on typing and doing whatever I want for the sizes. But considering we're going to finish here, I'm just going to right click so that I've closed the wall. So my wall is now created, and I'm just going to say OK. Now if we go back into our 3D model, you'll see that I've now got 2 walls that are 6 meters in length. I'm going to adjust the floor quickly. Anyone who's watched any of my videos will know how to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to drag these points to the corner, drag this one down, just so that the area that I'm working in has got a nice squared floor area, like that. I'm going to say OK. So I'm now ready that I could actually start building. So what I want to do now is I'm going to create a range of bedroom units, which is going to be for an open type closet arrangement, wardrobe arrangement. Maybe it can be a walk-in or something like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first highlight on the wall, go blue, and I'm going to come up to this icon over here where it says build closet. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go into bedrooms, which is fine, and I'm going to just use this wardrobe, just this one here, and I'm going to say open. And what it's going to do now is it's going to open the builder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the builder looks. It opens up like this. And I've got a builder. Now inside this builder, I can create my own wardrobes or my own units, kitchen units, whatever I want to build. I can custom build from scratch. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I don't want a 150 kick plate. So over here on the side, you'll see it's got a toe kicks of 150. I want to actually make that 100. Okay. And what I want to do is I'm quite happy with it at 2.4 because I actually want the units to go right up to the ceiling. So maybe we need 100 mil across the top. So let's make this 2.3. Okay. So I have about 100 mil above the top of the ceiling. This is my wall, so I know what the height is going to be. It doesn't matter where I position this for now because we're going to be moving it in our 3D model once we've created it. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make this about 1 meter wide. I'm going to keep it at 1 meter wide for this one because what I want to do is I'm going to build some drawer units and then some shell units on the cupboard. So what I'm going to do, let's have a look here. that. I'm going to say depth 600. Okay, we'll leave it at 600. Okay, I'm going to go to divisions, and under this I can now create what I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say horizontal, because I want to put a horizontal starting point so that I know where my drawers are going to fit in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to fixed shelf. I'm going to click inside the cupboard so it goes red, and I'm going to go to a fixed shelf, and I want to go to this one over here. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this across like that and just place it into the unit like that. Now I want this to be probably around about 800, maybe 900. No, let's make it 800. So if I type in 800, it's going to move this up. So I've got 800 from the base to the first shelf section there, like that. Okay. So what I can do now is, now that I've got that, I can now work and manipulate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside here. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's add some extra shelves. So in here I want to add some more shelves. 1, 2, 3, I could probably fit 4 nice shelves into the space up here. So rather than sitting there and going and doing 4 shelves and trying to get them all even, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to multiple insertions. Again, I'm still going to use the horizontal. I'm going to go down to the fixed shelf, because I want to use a fixed shelf in here. I'm going to use horizontal, and I'm going to do 4. So I can just come down to here and say 4, and it'll automatically space them 4. And I'm actually happy with that. I'm happy with those dimensions. So what I'm going to do down here now, I'm going to put in, let's see, 2, 3, maybe 4 drawers. But maybe what we want to do is we maybe want to split this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, let's make this 600. So I'm going to put another shelf in. Let's have a look here. So again, I'm going to come into here. I'm going to put in a fixed shelf over here. And what I want to do is I want to make that 300. Okay. So if I make that 300, it's going to make that roughly, because of the shelf, about 450. That's fine. I'm going to work on that setting like that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I want to put in some shelves in here, some drawers, sorry, into this section. So I'm going to go up to drawers. And what I want to do is I actually want to change these. And you can see I've got all sorts of different things that I can do here. Okay. But I don't want internal drawers, I want external drawers. So I'm going to use a straight drawer like this, and I can change the handle and things later on if I wanted to, or I can have a look at the different types of handles here. You'll see they've got different types of handles. But for now, I actually am just going to use the straight drawer, okay, with a wood handle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for something. Let's see if there's a nice profile that we can make. I'm going to use this wide profile here, okay? And in that space, I want 2 drawers. So I'm just going to go down, I'm going to say 2, like that. And I'm going to say insert. And what it's done is it's already built my 2 drawers for me. I don't have to actually do anything else. And then in this one, I'm going to use exactly the same profile and everything. I'm going to say insert. It's going to give me 2 like narrow drawers. Okay? And that's it. I'm not putting doors on. I'm not doing anything else. I just want this particular cupboard to come into my design. So what I do now, I come across and I say apply. By applying it, it's going to build it. And it's already working out your calculations for your cutting lists and everything else. Once it's done, I can say OK. And you'll see that it's actually placed it already inside my unit. And now what I can do with this is I can go to open, and we can stagger them, and you can see that it's actually put the drawers and everything in. Okay. So that's my first unit that I'm going to work with. So I'm going to build this up into multiple units. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to make this a 2-meter cupboard. So what I want to do here is we're not going to have drawers and things, and we're going to use it as hanging space and maybe some storage above it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my build, click on the wardrobe again, and then when my builder opens up, I'm I'm going to bring it in over here so you can see it. And you'll see now what it's done is it's brought it in, but it's brought it in and you can still see your other units. So it's actually quite handy if you were going to be using these where you had to join them up or attach them or anything together. You could do it actually in the builder, so I could actually pull this so that it marries up to that one if I wanted to. But because of the way I'm building this, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to have them as separate units and then I'm going to put them together. And I'm also going to save these units once I've designed them into my favorites catalog. So if I want to use them again, I can use them without having to rebuild them. So here we go. So first of all, we want to change this to 100 millimeters for our kick plate. And we're going to change the height to 2.3 because I want it all the same. And I've got 100 mil at the top. Okay, this is 1,000. Maybe I should leave it at 1,000. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to make this at 1,500. Let's do that, just to show you that we can change things around a little bit. And all I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put 2 shelves in and I'm going to put a hanging bar. That's it. Nice and simple, nothing major. So I'm going to go to divisions again. I'm going to go to horizontal. I'm going to use my fixed shelves. And I'm going to put a shelf in. Maybe I should put 2 in, but let's start with 1. I'm going to put it over here. Let's have a think here. It's 2. I want to put it sort of centralized. I just want to line those up. You see, now this is the beauty. I can see from the other cupboard if I want to actually line one up or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to line that up. And what I can do is I can take this cupboard and I can see now where it's lined up, and I'm quite happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another one and I'm going to line that up again like that. Okay, so now I've got 2 shelves and I want to just put a hanging bar in. Simple as that. So I'm going to go to internals, I'm going to take the close rail, put it in like that. And this close rail, I want it 90. Okay, that's it. That cupboard is done. So now I'm going to say apply and OK. And now I've got another cupboard that I can butt up. Okay, so I'm busy building up my wardrobe as I want. Now the next one I'm going to do is going to be a different one because I'm going to have quite a few little shelves in. I'm going to also make this one about 1 meter. Maybe 1.5 meters, or maybe I should just make it 1 meter, but I'm going to have some cupboards on the side, so that's going to be quite narrow. So I'm going to make it 1.5 meters with 500 millimeter. Yeah, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the wall again. I'm going to go back to my cabinet builder. Going to bring in my cabinet builder. And again, you can see the other cupboards that are there already. So I'm just going to buck that up because I want this to be 2.3, you remember. And I want it on 100 mil kick plate. And I'm just going to bring that up. Okay. I'm going to also make this 1.5. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different here. Okay. We're going to change it slightly. So what I'm going to do here is we are still going to have some hanging space, but I want a series of shelves inside this as well. So what we're going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I want to put a shelf in the same as I've got one here. Okay, so I'm going to click inside, go to division, I'm going to go horizontal fixed shelf, and I'm going to literally just drag it in and I'm going to match it up to that one. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to bring in another shelf down here, but this one doesn't really matter too much where it's going to line up. But I think if I make it, maybe I should just make it 900, I think. Maybe 920. Do it about 920. Okay, and then all I'm going to do, actually no, this one I'm not going to do here yet. I'm going to remove that one. I'm going to show you why. We're going to do a delete. Okay. The reason I want to do that is I'm going to actually do a vertical in this section. Okay. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it in like that. Okay. When I click on it, I want to make that 500. Because I'm going to actually put shelves in. I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to come back over here, horizontal, fixed, and I'm going to just pull this in, and like I said, I want to make this about 920. Okay. And now in here, I want to put an array of shelves. So maybe 6 shelves in there, do you think? I think that'll be too much. I'm going to manipulate. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is by clicking just on the one like that, it's only going to accept that area. So again, I'm on this, I'm going to go to horizontal. Okay. And on my horizontal, I'm going to pick what type of shelf. I want a fixed shelf. I'm going to do it like that. And I'm going to do 6 maybe. 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 5 will give us enough space. So I'm going to do 5. Yeah, that's better. If I made it any narrower. So now basically what I've got is I've got a shelf at the top. I've got a range of shelves down the side. And now I've got these 2 spaces. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to internals. And I'm going to put some close rails in here. Okay. I'm going to click on it because I actually want that close rail to be at 90. So I can standardize everything. Okay. Apply. Okay. So there I've already built a range of different cabinets. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I want to build just another 2 cabinets, but I want to build them on this wall. Okay, so I double click on this wall so it turns purple. I'm going to go back into my cabinet builder. Again, I'm going back into wardrobe. I'm going to pull it across so you'll be able to see it. And you'll see that there's no other cabinets because it's on a different wall. So that's fine. We're still going to do it exactly the same way. I'm going to make that 300 and I'm going to make this 100. Because again, we want things to match up. Okay. And on this one, what I want to do is, remember my other cupboard is 600. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 1200. And all I'm going to do in this is I'm going to make some hanging bars with a shelf at the top. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. So I'm going to go to divide. I'm going to click in here. And all I want to do is I'm going to go to horizontal, pick shelf, and I'm going to go to this one here, and I'm going to pull one in. Okay, and then I'm going to take another one. I'm going to make that around about 920. Okay. That's it. I'm going to put some hanging bars in here. So in this one, a hanging bar. This one. Okay. I'm going to click on that, make that 90. Make this one 90. Now I'm going to show you a little something here which I think you'll appreciate. I'm going to say apply. So, okay. So you'll see now that I've got another cupboard in here like this. Okay, which is fine. It's not a problem. But I didn't know what the height from there to there was on these cupboards. So what I can do is I can actually double click, go back to select this cupboard. Okay, I can then right click on the cupboard itself like that, and I can say I just want the cupboard, the whole cupboard. You have to have the whole cupboard. Then I'm going to say edit closet, and it's going to open up my closet builder again. So I could still go in and do edits and things like that on these cupboards that I've created. And all I want to know is I want to know what height that was. So it's 352. Okay, 352. I'm going to click on this one, right click, and I'm going to go down to here. Remember 352 was the figure that we were working on. I'm going to put it back in. I know that's 920. This one I want 352. 92. So I want everything to line up. This one here is now going to be 90. to apply it and bring it in. And my cupboard I know now is set. Okay. Now we're going to build another cupboard which is very similar. We're going to build this one over here on this side over here. I'm going to build another one similar to the one that we did at the beginning, similar to this one. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it, or I can copy it. Okay. I'm going to paste it onto this wall. Move it down. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take out the shelves and I want to just put this one across and I want to put in a hanging bar. Otherwise it's exactly the same. Okay. So what I can do with this is I'm going to go in and edit closet. Okay, I'm going to bring this across. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the closet. So my shelving I'm taking out. But I'm not taking out the top one. I still want this top one. So the ones I'm going to take out are these. So I'm just going to delete by pressing the delete button on my keyboard. Like that. And I want this space now to be a hanging bar. Internal. I'm going to click down here. Double click it so I'm only in that space. And I can either line it up as best I can, or I can come across, click on it, make sure that that's 90. Okay. Just want to see, so that should be 352. It's got to be 90. And we know everything is lined up. Okay. I'm going to apply. Say OK. And now I've got that cupboard built. So you can see you can copy and paste, you can change things around. Okay. Now let's say for argument's sake I want one more cupboard, but I want this one just over here, another one like that. I can literally click on it, again copy, and I can paste this over here. Drag it down and butt it up. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cupboard, I'm literally just going to butt it up against like that. I'm going to leave it open so you could put clothes and stuff in like that. Okay, I'm going to butt this one up, and I'm going to butt this one up. Okay. Now what I want to do is I'm going to make a 100mm scribe across the top. And maybe what I should do is maybe we should put a nice side panel or something on. Or do we maybe want to put in maybe a thicker panel on the top? So yes, I could put 100mm, or I could leave it like that and I could actually put maybe a 32mm panel on the top and a 32mm panel down the side. That would maybe make it look quite nice as well. So I could do that. So there's a couple of ways that I could do it. I can do it all individually. So if I right click on this one, I can come down to edit tops. And on here it's now going to give me this. There's the front view, there's my top view. So on the top, I can put over here, I can say I want 32mm panel. Okay. Color doesn't matter at the moment, we can change all that, back, front, whatever. And I can literally just click on it like that, and I'm going to click on it down the side. Okay. And then I'm going to say OK. And you'll see that it's automatically built that down like that. Now what I could try and do is I could try and by clicking on this I can try and extend this. It's only going to extend it as far as a panel will allow me. So what I can do is I can do like that, and then I can click on this and I can say duplicate, and it's going to bring me another one in. And what I can do there is I can now just make this smaller. Okay, and then we're going to join everything up afterwards. So what I'm going to do now is on this cupboard, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. The top, I'm going to come over here. Maybe I should have changed that other one to 600. We'll do this as well. I'll do that 600. I didn't change the other one. We'll do that now. 32. And on this one, I'm going to click it there, and I'm going to click it down the side. Say OK. And you'll see now that it's built that. And now I can click on this, so I'll only select that. I can take this arrow, now pull it. Because the sheet is not going to allow me, because obviously the panel is only 2780, it won't allow me to pull it past that because you're not buying that type of material. So that's fine. We're going to say duplicate, and it's going to pull it to the side, which is also fine. And I get this little tool that pops up. And now what I can do is I can take that tool and I can move it. Okay, I'm going to say all right, and then what I can do is I can pull this in like that. And what will happen is, because I'm right on the edge, it won't let me pull it right down, but that's fine. We can just go to remove tool, say 32 mil, and I can actually drop this by pressing this button. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back out into properties, and by clicking on this I can just pull that back in and line it up. Okay. This one here, I want to make that 600 deep, and I'm going to do the same with the other panel. So I just double click on it, and I'm going to make that 600 deep. So even though I didn't add it at the time of doing it, I can still go in and manipulate everything that I need. So I've boxed that in. I can, if I wanted to, run these to the floor by clicking on it, and I can extend it by 100. So at the moment it's sitting at 2332. What I could do is just make that 24. But remember, it's going up to the top, so I need to add it plus 32. Okay. This one I can do the same. So I'm going to want this one height to be 2400 plus 32. To be a 4. Sorry, I got to double click on it. So I'm going to make that 2432. And now I'm just going to bring that down. You see where it says 100 over here. I can just make that 0, and I've now got everything boxed in the way I want it. It's actually quite simple. All these are fully custom built. Now what I want to do is, let's have a look at changing colors. I'm going to go to model. I'm going to change the color on these cabinets. I don't even want the bodies to be white. I'm going to change them all. Let's use a PG Bison. I'm going to use a vertical. Let's see if there's something here that we could do. I don't want a solid color. So what we're going to do, let's rather go model. Let's go in here. We're going to PG Bison. We're going to use a vertical. Something a little bit, maybe like that. Okay. Change that. And then what I want to do is, I'm going to say, this is kitchen, which is actually what they call these side cabinets, so it's done that for me. I'm going to go to bedroom. I'm going to do the same thing. So on the bedroom units, what I want to do is I'm going to do exactly the same idea. And let's see if I can change all of these. Yes, my drawers have been changed. And then what I want to do is, if you have a look down here, you'll see that they're all the same color. Everything has changed. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to have a look here quickly. So I've changed all the colors. I just want to have a look here and see if there's anything that we need to change now. See, everything is the right consistency, everything is done. And then here, I just want to change those as well. I'm going to change that to PG Bison. Now, what I could also do is those edges, I could change those. So where I've got the handle profiles, I can actually come over here and I can change that as well. So we could change that to something else. So let's say we want to look at color. I'm just going to make them dark blue for now so you can see them. Okay. And what I want to do with those, I want to manipulate those. I want those to be actually like a silver or something like that. So what I can do is I can come down to the bottom where it says materials. Under materials I can go to metals. Okay. And I could take this, for instance, maybe I want them to be a chrome or an aluminium. So if I take the aluminium and I put it onto the, I can now go along and I can manipulate all these. Because I want all those to be like an aluminium. Once I've done that, I'm going to come up here. Yeah. Let's put maybe a nice tile on the floor. So we can do again. We can come down here. We get a floor and walls, and I'm just going to put a tile on the floor. Okay. We would need to put a ceiling on. So that's simple. I can just literally come up here. I can say build ceiling, and it'll build it for us. The only difference is because I changed the height of the walls, I'm just going to drop the ceiling down, and I want to make that 2500 like that. And if I wanted to, I could put a pendant light or something in as well. So I can come over here, and under decor I could put switches and things like that. You can put lights in, anything like that that you want. Make this a bit bigger so everyone can see. So you'll see I've got some different types of lights. So I could put a pendant light or something like that. And if I look down here, I've got different types of lights. If I go to pendants, it'll only show pendants. So that's a bedroom. Let's just put in let's be silly. Let's put in a light like that, and we can adjust it. So what I can do with this light is I can see where it is. So I'm going to move it into position. The height of the light is miles too long, so I'm going to make that 600. Okay. Everything else looks fine. So again, I could move that light to wherever I want it. Move it over towards the dressing room. So what we've done is we've actually created a whole like walk-in cabinet or wardrobe setup. So if I make this a bit smaller, we can just make it smaller like that, and we can have a look and see how this is going to look. We were going to, for instance, try and do a render. So if we were going to try and do a render, I would remove those so that I can get a nice view. I can come up to my eye. With my eye I can have a look and see. I'm not quite happy with that. And we can come up to our render. I'm looking at the watermark. I don't need a background. And we're going to test it first. So the way that I tend to do it is I like to just do a smaller one just so I can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to just first check here. We've got a standard light here, this one. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need it. Turn it off. Okay, and I'm just going to try and see how this comes out. Go back to render. I'm just going to select render. Now what happens with the rendering in Mobi is it sends this information up to the cloud, and then it's going to start doing the render from the cloud. Now, I haven't got any walls on the outside of this. And usually when I'm going to do a render of a room or something like that, I'll always close the room in and maybe put some windows or something in to give it more of a natural light. So we're going to just see how this comes out, and then we'll maybe have to just add some walls and some windows to give it a more natural look. But this will give us a good idea of a starting point of if we're happy with the way it's looking. This is going to be a very sort of rustic looking. Again, this is just as Promobi is working. I don't think it's going to be too bright, but we'll have a look. So I always do a slightly smaller one first, just to get a rough idea, and then I'll go ahead and do the others. Now please bear in mind this is all custom, so fully custom built. None of this has come out of the catalog. This is something that we've created ourselves. And this is on high quality. I'm just trying to get an idea how it's going to look. So what we could do is we could actually go in here and we could edit walls. And this is something that I do quite a bit. I tend to find that I like to close off rooms. I tend to find it gives me a better view. If I click on here, you'll see what's happened. My viewpoint is behind the wall. If I come inside, you'll see it'll come in. What I want to try and do is from here, I'm just going to hide by pressing 0, the O button on my keyboard, and you'll see that I've closed the room off. Now I want to put a bit of light or something in there, just to, or windows or something, just to give it a little bit more. I'm just going to put in a sliding door. And this will give us more of a natural light look. Windows. Let's put in a so now that will give us this O again. It should bring. Here, make all visible, and I can go now to my eye and I can actually manipulate what I want to see. So with the eye, this is what you're going to be focusing on. The eye I'm going to bring in. Okay, this is the ceiling height, this is the floor height. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to close that now because I can actually do it manually. What's this? Again, if it ever happens and it jumps out, just check where your eye is, if it's into the wall or if it's not. Leave it like that. And the red line I can actually use to manipulate. So in other words, if I come out like that and you look at the red line, I can pull the red line in and it'll give me the area that I'm looking for. By tilting it, I can decide where I want the viewpoint. And this time what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do exactly the same type of render. I'm just going to make a big one. Okay. 100 by 800 should be fine. I've got the light coming in maybe through this window, a bit lower. Sky colors are fine. It's done. I'm going to say no render. The beauty with this is you can sort of play around with your renders to show people what it's going to look like. If the colors look a little bit too strong, which I think this color I'm not 100% happy with, so I can come out. I can now come back in over here, lock that into place, go to models, and let's change this up a little bit. Let's see if we go here, and I'm going to change it to one of the newer, maybe Demand Grey or Folkestone Grey. Let's do this one, and you'll see that just by changing the way the structure works, it's going to make it look so different. So it does take fractionally longer. it'll be updating it all now. There we go. Now we could leave this as an accent, but I don't think we will. I think we'll change those as well. Okay, let's leave it like that, and let's do a different type of render. Let's see what happens with our render now. Give us a different effect. And remember, you can manipulate things. If we find that the lights in the middle are going to be too bright, I can go in and I can just dull those down a little bit if we find that they're making too much of a statement. You could do as well as, if you're shelving, you could actually take that 16mm shelving and you could actually make that 32 if you wanted to give it a bit more thickness. So there's things like that that you can manipulate, you can change. Right, so what we're going to do now is we've rendered it. I'm going to save this, so if I can save. Save it into here. So if we can save it, we'll save it in here. Back here. We'll say this is render 1. I've saved that. I can close it. There it is. So you can see the effect that you can have. It really does make a really nice presentation. So once I've done that, there's a couple of other things quickly that I'm going to go through on this video. I don't want to get too complicated with it, so I'm just going to do it as two things just to show you. One, how to save it quickly into a favorites folder, so you can reuse any one of the units. So you just save each unit individually into a favorites folder, and then I'm going to show you like a little quick, like a walk round thing to show you how that works. So what we're going to do very quickly, I'm just going to bring back my models, it's easier to work with, and my tools. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cupboard. So I'm going to highlight that cupboard. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go down here and say add to favorites. Okay. It's going to bring up this favorites. Name of the favorites. Now this is the name of this. So I'm going to call this bedroom drawer. You can obviously call it whatever you want. I'm going to add dimensions. I'm going to highlight this, copy it. I'm going to put it down here and paste. And I can actually do this auto paste. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to say forward. And what this does is this just gives me a little like thumbnail. So you move it the same way as you do in your 3D, just so I can see what it's going to look like. It looks a little bit darker there. So I can go to high quality, and I'm going to go light. Let's put the light a little bit closer. If I move this to the side, a little bit brighter. Good. So we can actually see what it's going to look like. Happy with that. I'm going to say forward. And now in forward, it's going to allow me to add these into whichever folders. Now if I haven't got a folder, I've got one called bedrooms, I'm going to put it in there. But if I didn't have one, I'd just click on this one and I'd say create, and let me create a new folder, and I can save it into there. But as soon as I've got bedroom, I'm going to put it into bedroom, and I'm going to say finish. Now this cupboard here has now gone into my favorites. So if I go into favorites, and under favorites I go to bedroom, I can have a look down here now, and I can see what I've got. Okay, so under my favorites, let's go to favorites, bedroom, There's the unit I've just done. And to prove it, I'll just put it in over here. There's this unit, which has been created. Now, if I click on it, even though it's in my favorites, I can still go back to my closet or my wardrobe unit builder, and I can still go in and I can manipulate it. So I can still take this whole cupboard and I can change it. I can do whatever I want. So in other words, let's just say I don't want any of these. I could actually delete all these. Like that. Put an internal, just for argument's sake, in. Let's say apply. Say OK. And you'll see now it's created a new cupboard for me, which I could then take this cupboard and save it in there as well. So it gives you a lot of opportunities. I'll just delete this one because I don't need that cupboard. It gives you a lot of opportunities on building your own carcass setups and things like that as well. Okay. Now the last thing I want to show you, if you wanted to, for instance, show a customer like a little mini walkthrough type thing on there, it doesn't do it in the render mode, but we do have a 360 mode, which I'll maybe just do a quick render in a minute and then put it at the end so you can see how it looks. And then what I'm going to do now is what we call our walkthrough, just to show people how to do a walkthrough. So I'm going to go to my eye. Okay, under my eye down here I can save viewpoints. So this is quite handy. So if I come down here and I type in 1, okay, and I save it. Now maybe I want to come over here. So by doing that I'm just going to get a different type of viewpoint. Maybe I want to look across there like that. You'll see that's the type of view that I want. I can now come down here. Normally what I do is I just change the 1, 2, save. Okay. So with the beauty of this is if I want to go back to view 1, I can just literally click on it and it'll automatically move my camera to where I want to be. Okay. That's great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to move my viewpoint to here. Okay. Just narrow this down a little bit. And I actually want to put this right on my eye. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new viewpoint. I'm going to call this viewpoint W01. And save it. And then here next to it, I'm going to put a plus button. Okay. And now I'm going to move this from there to say there. And I'm going to add a plus point. Okay. And now I'm going to move around to there. About there. And I'm going to add a plus point. And I'm going to move away. And I'm going to say plus, and then I'm going to do one more just over here, just to give you an idea of how you can change things. Plus. Okay. So what I've done is I'm creating like a mini walkthrough. Okay. I normally use 60 frames, 10, and what I can do now is I can record this. I'm going to take this off the screen so you'll be able to see, and I'm going to go back to my starting point, okay, and I'm going to hit record. And what it's going to do now is it's going to record that walking path that I've created so your customer can get an idea of what it's going to look like. It's not in render mode, but it's in a good enough move for the client to see what it's going to look like. Just made a short one just to show you how it works. It's going to stop there. It's now going to create a video, which I'm just saving. It's just going to generate it quickly. Okay, it's done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that video looks like. just minimize it so I can move it. Start it from the beginning quickly so you can see. Play. And it creates that, so you could show that to a customer. Okay, so we can do that as well. Okay. So that's something else that we've got. I will make a 3D 360 render, and I'll show you that at the end of the video, so you can see how that's going to look as well. And the way that we have to do that, and I'll get it started, it will take a little bit of time because it actually renders almost like 6 blocks to make it work. So what I normally do there is I'll come back, I'll go to number 1. You see that my walkthrough is gone, which is fine. And then what I do here normally is I'm going to place my camera roughly in the center, and I try and make it about even as I can, just to make it look. Just have to go crazy and then come back down. Okay. So once I've set it like that, what I can do is I can close. I'm going to go up to here to my camera, and I'm going to come across here where it says render 360. I'm going to put a background in because we're going to see it through the windows. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say render. It's going to start rendering the same way as it does on the others. It's just going to generate a 360 type render. So once it starts, if I move my mouse, you'll see I can zoom in and out. It'll let me once it starts working, and we'll just leave that to render. And I'll put this in at the end of the video so you can see what it looks like. Right, as I said, I'll show you how it works. So it's finished doing its rendering. It took 29 minutes, but that's because it's doing high-end rendering at a large size on 6 sides. So I'm just going to show you. If I open this, make it a bit bigger so that you can see it. I can literally scroll around now, and I can zoom in, so I can have a look at what I've got here. So this is something else that you can do with inside Promobi, which is quite nice. So what I tend to do with this one is I can save it separately. So if I click on save, where I've got render there, I'm going to just call this a 360. So I can save that. I can also upload that to a site, and then I can send that link to clients and let them have a look at it. And I can also save it to my project. So click on there, save it to project. I'll minimize now. I've got my render saved there on the project. Okay. So I hope this tutorial has helped, showing you how you can build from scratch and how you can actually use Promobi. We'll do another follow-up on this particular episode where I will do measurements, and eventually we maybe even look at costing and even maybe a cutting list of this project. So let's call this number 1, and then we'll work from there. And if you have stayed through watching this, I appreciate it, and I hope that you get some value from it. Until next time, keep drawing.